Dragon Emperor Sun Chapter 491 to Chapter 500. Master Ma, isn't there a lot of underground gems here? Feng Yi asked Master Nama. Master Ma nodded, it's really good here, the entrance to the mine should be in the northwest direction, you send someone to look in that direction. Okay. Feng Yi was overjoyed. If the orientation is determined, it is only a matter of time before finding the entrance to the ore vein. It seems that the entire Hungshan mountain will become his own in the future. But just when Feng Yi was happy, he suddenly found that a group of people came out of the jungle. It was Song Zud and the others. Seeing that Song Zud brought people out, and it didn't seem to be affected at all, the smile on Feng Yi's face suddenly froze. You, how did you come out? Feng Yi asked in shock. And Master Na Ma frowned and said to Feng Yi, did someone come out? Yes, it's the Song family. They all came out, and they didn't trap them at all. Feng Yi said to Master Ma. How is that possible? Master Ma frowned deeper. Ha ha ha, Feng Yi, do you think mere illusions can trap me? You are so naive. Song Zud laughed out loud. Song Zud, what are you talking about? I don't understand, what kind of illusion? Feng Yi pretended not to understand and said. You can pretend, there will be a moment when you can't keep it up. Song Zud glared at Feng Yi, then followed his subordinates and said, go ahead and look for the mine entrance immediately. Soon, the Song family also began to look for it, but this mountain range is huge, and it is not so easy to find the entrance to the ore vein. Seeing that the Song family was looking around like flies without heads, Feng Yi raised the corner of his mouth slightly. They had a clear direction, so they would definitely get twice the result with half the effort. At this moment, another noise came from the jungle, and then Lu Chenjian walked out with the Lu family, but they were not so lucky. Many people were obviously tired, and the number was reduced by half. As soon as he walked out of the jungle, Lu Chenjian looked at Song Zud and Feng Yi with a gloomy face. You two, who is cheating? Dare to use illusion to trick me? It seems that Lu Chenjian found out that everything in front of him was an illusion only after paying the price. Who else is there? It's Feng Yi, a despicable villain, and we just came out of the jungle. Song Zud pointed to Feng Yudao. Song Zud, don't spit your blood. What did you see me doing? I also said that you did it. If you were also caught in the illusion, why did you come out safely? Feng Yi didn't want the Song Lu family to join forces, otherwise he would have no chance of winning. This time, the three parties all looked at each other with vigilance in their eyes. At this time, after David reached the top of the mountain, the whole person fell into excitement. He could feel that countless spiritual energy was rising from the ground, as if to break through the entire top of the mountain. He can conclude that there will definitely be a large number of spiritual stones under their feet. I found it, I found it. Suddenly, the Feng family looking for the entrance to the ore vein shouted loudly. This time, everyone ran over to find the sound, only to see a servant of the Feng family holding a stone pick in his hand, and in front of him was a hole less than 1 meter away. The inside of the hole is dark, and you can't see anything at all, but according to past experience, if you dig along the hole, you will definitely be able to dig a vein. The appearance of the ore vein entrance made the atmosphere of the three parties instantly tense, as if there was a possibility of shooting at any time. None of us can't be sure that this is the entrance to the ore vein, and whether the ore vein is rich in gems or not. We are just guessing. Why don't the three of us join forces to open the hole and see what's inside before making a decision? Lu Chenjian suggested to Song Zud and Feng Yi. After all, the strength of their family is the worst now. If the situation is unclear now, it would be a bit too worthless for the three to fight. Don't lose a lot of money, and there is nothing in the ore vein. Okay, I agree. Song Zud nodded, he thought so too. Seeing this, Feng Yi could only nod his head and say, okay, let's open the hole together. After finishing speaking, Feng Yi said to the servant, prepare explosives and blow the hole open a little. At this time, David has been paying attention to the situation on the top of the mountain. Hearing that Feng Yi was about to blow up the hole, he immediately stepped forward and said, "You can't blow up. If you blow up the hole, the top of the mountain will collapse." David could feel that the bottom of the top of the mountain was empty. If the explosives exploded, the power would definitely rush into the hole and collapse the entire top of the mountain. Feng Yi glanced at David and said in a cold voice, "You little brat knows SHT. We've been mining mines for so many years, and we've done it this way. Get away from me, and I'll settle accounts with you when we go down the mountain." No one listened to David's words, and soon the explosives were arranged. Then, with a huge rumbling sound, the opening of the hole, which was only 1 meter square, was directly blown into a big hole. The inside of the big hole was so dark that you could even hear the echo of the rock hitting. "These must be the gravel from the explosion of the explosives just now, let's go in and see," Feng Yi said to Song Zud and Lu Jinjian. The three of them were about to enter the cave, when suddenly the top of the mountain trembled, like an earthquake, which scared everyone back in a hurry. But soon they discovered that cracks began to appear in the rocks under their feet, and then the cracks became bigger and bigger. "What?" Many people screamed and ran around. Song Tai grabbed David. At this time, she only believed in David. Wudong was also scared to run everywhere, but was grabbed by David. "Don't run, you can't run away." David pulled Song Tai and Wudong, and suddenly jumped up with force, followed by a loud rumbling sound under his feet, and the entire top of the mountain collapsed down. There were several football fields in size, and all of them collapsed suddenly. Everyone didn't have time to react and fell directly into it. Fortunately, the collapse was not deep, only a dozen meters tall. Except for a few people who were injured by boulders, no one died. Now everyone has fallen into a huge pit. "Look, Emperor Emerald! Chicken blood red, that's chicken blood red!" Soon, people discovered that at the bottom of the pit, there were a lot of rough gemstones exposed. The green color and bright red color could be seen at a glance without any equipment. "Ha ha ha, make a fortune, make a fortune, this is really a gemstone vein, it's great." Feng Yi looked at the rough gemstones that could be seen everywhere, and laughed excitedly. Song Zud and Lu Jinjian were equally excited, which was worth more than Jinshan. Everyone was attracted by the gem, only David looked excitedly at those inconspicuous stones the size of a fist and a shape similar to a pebble. All these stones are full of strong spiritual energy. The overwhelming spiritual energy makes David feel like he is in the ocean of spiritual energy. He has never felt such a strong spiritual energy. David opened all the pores and absorbed it desperately. Aura around. After the excitement, Song Zud, Lu Jinjian, and Feng Yi all looked at each other vigilantly. "Song Zud, Lu Jinjian, I found the entrance to this ore vein. Logically, this ore vein should be mined by me. Since you have followed along, I can give you 2 mines at the foot of my mountain and let you 2 share it equally. How about it?" Feng Yi said to Song Zud and Lu Jinjian. "Feng Yi, are you farting? This is clearly the mine that collapsed by yourself. How did you find it?" Song Zud cursed loudly. That Lu Jinjian's face also turned cold. "That is, how did this become yours? Then what do you two think?" Feng Yi frowned, his eyes were full of chills. Lu Jinjian was silent. At this time his strength was the weakest, and he was not easy to speak. And then Song Zud looked at Master Guo, and Master Guo nodded towards him, and Song Zud said with a confident face, "Now that the mine has appeared, whoever will mine it, then he will speak according to his ability." "Okay, Song Zud, don't regret it." Feng Yi didn't write any ink. After speaking, he directly bowed to the Master Ma and said, "Master Ma, it's all up to you. Don't worry, Mr. Feng." After Master Ma finished speaking, a gas flame suddenly went out in his hand, and then the flame went out, producing a thick smoke. "Humph, here's another set, little illusion, what can I do?" Master Guo snorted coldly and said to Fan Debiao, Debiao, teach that old man a lesson. Yes. After Fan Debiao finished speaking, he rushed into the smoke. Soon, there was a sound of fighting in the smoke, and the others could only watch from the outside, not knowing what was going on inside. Song Zud clenched his fists tightly, and his nervous palms were sweating. Mr. Song, don't need to be nervous, De Biao has my true biography, he is just a warlock, and he is not an opponent at all. After Master Guo knew that the old man was a warlock, he was not afraid at all. After Master Guo said this, Song Zud was relieved a little. But just after Master Guo finished speaking, he saw a figure flying out of the thick fog, and then fell heavily to the ground. De Biao. Master Guo's eyes are sharp, and he can tell at a glance that this is his big apprentice. I saw that Fan Debiao's chest was sunken at this time, obviously several ribs were broken, and the corners of his mouth were full of blood. He opened his mouth to say something, but as soon as he spoke, blood spurted out. The thick fog dissipated, and I saw Master Nama standing with his sunglasses behind his back, who said that a warlock can only do magic and can't fight in close quarters. Master Ma sneered and took off the sunglasses that he had been wearing. His eyes were white and he couldn't see the black eyeballs at all, but Master Ma waved at Master Guo as if he saw it. I don't need magic, I can beat you just as well. Are you a martial arts practitioner? Master Guo's expression changed, and his expression became extremely solemn. Don't talk nonsense, you can do it if you have the ability. If you don't have the ability, then get out. Master Ma grinned, and his voice sounded like thunder, which made many people tremble with fear. Master Guo felt a chill in his heart. He had already lost the confidence he had at the beginning. He really did not expect that this Master Ma was a martial arts and martial artist. If this happened, wouldn't he have no chance of winning? But the matter has come to this point, and Master Guo has no choice but to take action. In the end, he can only bite the bullet and walk towards Master Ma with a crackling sound from his muscles. You hurt my disciple, today I'm here to learn some tricks. After Master Guo finished speaking, his figure flashed in an instant, and he walked directly towards Master Nama. Sure enough, this time, Master Ma did not use magic, but his ears were constantly shaking. Every shot of Master Guo could be avoided by Master Ma. Soon, the two were fighting like a whirlwind. The howling wind made the rocks fly, and everyone could only avoid it. Master Guo, come on! Song Zud clenched his fists and cheered for Master Guo secretly. He only had this one to rely on. If Master Guo lost, his consequences would be unimaginable. Bang! After a loud bang, the figures suddenly separated. Master Guo took a few steps back to stabilize his figure, and Master Ma was not strong enough, he took a few steps back before he stood firm. It seems that I underestimated you, come again. After Master Ma finished speaking, he jumped up and down. Master Guo also had confidence at this time, knowing that the strength of this Master Ma was nothing more than that, and one jumped up and rushed up. But just rushed forward, I saw Master Ma waved his hand, and a thick cloud of smoke instantly wrapped Master Guo, and then the smoke became thicker and thicker. Master Guo was in a bad mood and wanted to step back in a hurry, but he heard a whistling sound behind him, and he hurriedly lowered his head to avoid a blow. Despicable, didn't you say you don't need magic? Master Guo yelled angrily. Ha ha ha, I'm better than you by my ability, what's so despicable? Master Ma laughed, in this thick fog, he is the master, and Master Guo is like a headless fly. Seeing this scene, Song Zud's face was extremely ugly, he knew it was over. Sure enough, soon Master Guo's body flew out of the thick fog, blood was hanging from the corner of his mouth, and he looked at Master Nama with a trembling body. Shuangziu of martial arts and martial arts is really powerful, and I am willing to bow down to the disadvantage. Master Guo said to Master Ma with an ugly face. Seeing that you are also famous, I won't kill you today, get out. Master Ma waved his hand. Master Guo clasped his fists, and immediately ordered someone to carry Fan Debiao to leave. Master Guo, you can't go, you can't go, what should I do if you go? I can add money to you, as much as you want. Song Zudra said to Master Guo. Mr. Song, this has nothing to do with money. I'm not the opponent of Master Ma, there is nothing I can do. Master Guo shook off Song Zud and left without looking back. This time, Song Zud was dumbfounded, his whole body fainted, and his body wanted to fall backwards. Dad, Song Tai hurriedly supported Song Zud. Ha ha ha, how is it? I just gave you a chance. You don't know how rare it is. Now, except for this ore vein, which is mine, the entire Hungshan ore vein is mine. Whoever dares to disagree will die today. Feng Yi laughed wildly. Feng Yi, my Lu family won't rob you, we only manage our own mines. Seeing this, Lu Qingjian said to Feng Yi. It's too late, now both of you have to get out of the mountain city for me. I don't like to see anyone mining mines in this place except my Feng family. Feng Yi said proudly. Feng Yi, you don't want to deceive people too much. Lu Qingjian is going to die of anger. What? I'll bully you, what can you do? Do you want to do it too? Feng Yi looked at Lu Qingjian with contempt, at this time he was already arrogant to the extreme. Feng Yi, even if I die, I won't leave the mountain city. It's a big deal for you to die. Song Zud gnashed his teeth and looked at Feng Yi, and then said to Lu Qingjian, Lao Lu, if we join forces, we won't believe that we can't fight Feng Yi, and then the mines will be divided equally between the two. Lu Qingjian looked at Feng Yi with a frantic look, then nodded, okay, let's join forces. Feng Yi looked at the alliance of the two, and was not worried at all. The people Song Zud brought have left, and they have no strength at all. Since the two of you are courting death, don't blame me for being ruthless. Feng Yi's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he waved his hand, give it to me, kill them all. The masters brought by Feng Yi all jumped up, and Master Ma moved his fingers, and the black mist drifted towards the Lu family and the Song family. Rush! Lu Qingjian and Song Zud all roared loudly, they knew it was time for their survival. Immediately, the two sides scuffled together, and the 2-meter-tall big man invited by Lu Qingjian went directly to the master of the horse, and his huge body was like a hill. Humph! Over your own strength. Facing the big man like a hill, Master Ma's eyes suddenly blinked. The originally white eyeballs showed black eyeballs. His eyes were full of light. He was not blind at all. Ah ah ah! The big man let out a slight roar, and punched Master Ma. Master Ma's figure flexibly dodged, and he punched the big man's back. Bang! A loud bang, as if slamming on steel, directly made Grandmaster Nama go back a few steps, his arm slightly numb. It turned out to be practicing horizontal kung fu. Master Ma frowned slightly. The big man who was punched was furious. After turning around, he stepped forward again and walked towards Master Nama. Every step was like an earthquake, making a thumping sound. Humph! Master Ma snorted coldly, his hands moved, and instantly 2 black mists emerged from between his fingers, heading straight for the big man. Seeing this, the big man wanted to dodge, but the 2 black mists were like ghosts, and instantly got into the big man's nostrils. The big man's expression was startled, and then he grabbed his throat with his hands, his expression was very painful. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and his 2-meter body fell to the ground with a bang. The big man's eyes were wide open, and his 7 orifices bled to death, obviously from poisoning. At this time, regardless of whether it was the Song family or the Lu family, some people began to die from toxic attacks, and they fell down in an instant. Song Zud and Lu Qingjian looked at the scene in front of them, and they were all stunned. Ha ha ha, you two want to fight with me? I just gave you a chance, but you didn't grasp it, then die here today. Feng Yi laughed, now Song Zud and Lu Qingjian have become lambs to be slaughtered. Song Zud and Lu Qingjian's faces became extremely ugly, and finally Lu Qingjian sighed helplessly, Feng Yi, I am willing to give you all the mines of the Lu family, and I will withdraw from the mountain city from now on. Seeing Lu Qingjian compromise, Song Zud's face became even more difficult to look at. Song Zud, how about you? Feng Yi looked at Song Zud playfully and said with a sneer. Song Zud gritted his teeth, now that almost all of his people are dead, even if he has great ability, he can't turn defeat into victory, and now there is only one way, that is to compromise and beg for mercy. I am also willing to hand over all the mines of my Song family to you, and leave the mountain city from now on. Song Zud lowered his head. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Feng Yi raised his head and laughed loudly, his laughter was full of arrogance. Listening to Feng Yi's laughter, Song Zud and Lu Qingjian seemed to be trampled under their feet. From today onwards, there will be no Song family or Lu family in the entire mountain city. Song Zud, if you want me to let you go, I look good on your big star daughter, play with me for 2 days, and let you go when I get tired of playing. Feng Yi finished laughing and said to Song Zud. Song Zud's face turned green when he heard it. He has now given up all his wealth, but he didn't expect that Feng Yi would not agree. Feng Yi, you and I have been dealing with each other for many years. My daughter calls you uncle, how can you? Song Zud looked at Feng Yi with anger in his eyes. Don't get close to me, what kind of uncle is not an uncle? I've long been greedy for your daughter's figure, and now it's just a relief for me. Feng Yi's eyes looked at Song Tai unscrupulously. Rogue, beast. Song Tai's face flushed red, and he cursed at Feng Yi angrily. Feng Yi's face turned cold, little girl, if you dare to scold me, I will play you in public today. After Feng Yi finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the 2 servants of the Feng family went straight to Song Tai. Song Zud hurried forward to stop it, but there was no way to stop it. Song Tai, a weak girl, could only be caught by the 2 servants of the Feng family and dragged to that Feng Yi. Ah! Song Tai turned pale with fright and screamed loudly, David, save me, save me. At this time, Song Tai could only follow David to ask for help, she knew that David had strength. Let go of her. David spoke slowly. Boy, you can't protect yourself, do you still want a hero to save the beauty? Feng Yi looked at David and sneered. David ignored him, but looked at Song Zud. Song Zud, this mine is divided into half of me, I will save your daughter and help you save the Feng family. David's voice was cold and indifferent, as if to get rid of the Feng family, it was not worth mentioning in his eyes. Song Zud looked at David, and was stunned for a moment, the whole person seemed overwhelmed. Boy, do you know what you are going to say? Get rid of my Feng family? You are not afraid that the wind will flash your tongue? When Feng Yi heard this, he yelled at David with a look of disdain. He didn't believe that David had that ability, not to mention that with Master Ma present, Feng Yi was even less afraid. Song Zud, have you thought about it? David continued to ask Song Zud. Song Zud's face was ugly, and he became in a dilemma. If David is promised, if David is bragging, his strength is not good, and he is killed by Feng Yi, then his Song family will be wiped out. However, he refused to agree to David and watched his daughter being humiliated by Feng Yi. Song Zud couldn't bear it. Do you have anything to rely on besides me now? Don't pin your hopes on the conscience of others. Seeing Song Zud in a dilemma, David smiled coldly. Dad, promise him, promise him. Song Tai shouted loudly, she knew what her father was worried about, but she saw David catch the bullet with his bare hands. Mr. Song, Mr. Chen's ability is definitely not what you see. Wu Dong didn't care about anything else at this time, and persuaded Song Zud. Song Zud was stunned for a moment, then looked at his daughter again, and finally gritted his teeth and said, if Mr. Chen can save my daughter and my Song family, I am willing to hand over all the mines to Mr. Chen. I said, I only need half, and I won't get one more point. After David finished speaking, he slowly turned around and looked at Feng Yi. Let Miss Song go, I may make your death a little more enjoyable. Ha ha ha, boy, are you crazy or paranoid? You dare to say kill me? Feng Yi laughed, and did not take David in his eyes at all. David was not talking, his body suddenly moved, and then the two servants of the Feng family who grabbed Song Tai fell directly to the ground, while Song Tai was directly picked up by David, and his body fell back to Song Zud. Around. Song Tai hooked David's neck with both hands, his eyes were fixed on David, his heart was pounding. Song Zud was overjoyed when he saw David's ability. You can let me go, David said helplessly when he saw Song Tai's arms around his neck and wouldn't let go. Oh! Song Tai blushed and hurriedly let go of David. Your daughter is rescued, and I'll get rid of that Feng Yi, but you promised me, don't forget. David said to Song Zud. No, absolutely not. Song Zud shook his head again and again. David turned around and looked at Feng Yi with a faint smile. Let your people come together, save the trouble. As soon as the voice fell, the terrifying aura on David's body instantly vibrated toward the surroundings. You wanna die? A master of the Feng family was furious, and one jumped towards David. The figure of such a master is as fast as lightning, and there are bursts of bursting sounds in his hands. This is the sound of energy breaking through the air. The terrifying Qi Jin shrouded directly towards David, and the raging Qi Jin caused the dust to fly, but David had his hands on his back and looked at the Grand Master with an indifferent look. Seeing David so calm, the master of the Feng family seemed to have been greatly insulted. With both fists, his terrifying energy increased a bit again, and he directly rapped David, as if he was going to crush David. Too weak. David shook his head. Suddenly, David's right foot stomped lightly, a huge force centered on him and spread out around him, and the Grand Master felt an overwhelming force in an instant, and the whole person's face turned pale. Instant change. The master of the Feng family wanted to hide, but it was too late. The huge impact made the master fly upside down like a kite with a broken string, and then fell heavily to the ground, motionless and silent. A master died like this, and he didn't even make a move to continue, which made Feng Yi's face instantly dignified, and even Master Ma couldn't help frowning. Okay, great. Seeing this, Song Zud shouted out happily. He really didn't expect that David had such a skill. Old Song, you have such a master by your side, why have you been hiding? Lu Qingjian asked Song Zud. Song Zud was embarrassed and didn't know how to answer, because he didn't even know that David had such ability. Dad, you should believe that David is the one who saved me, right? Let me tell you, in the restaurant last night, the bullet that was fired was directly caught by David, or the bullet would have gone. I'm coming. Song Tai told Song Zud what happened last night. Song Zud's eyes were full of surprise, but he was also afraid after a while. If David was not by Song Tai's side, wouldn't Song Tai be hit by a bullet? Today there is Mr. Chen, the sky is not dead, my Song family, ha ha ha. Song Zud laughed wantonly. Being able to catch bullets with bare hands, I am afraid that such skills can become immortals, who can be the enemy? Seeing Song Zud laughing loudly, Feng Yi's face was extremely ugly. Master Ma, thank you for your troubles, I want this kid to smash his corpse into 10,000 pieces. Feng Yi gritted his teeth and said. Okay. Master Ma stepped forward and looked at David coldly, you have developed such skills at such a young age. If you leave now, I can spare your life. Are you afraid that you are not my opponent? If you are afraid, you can get out, and I can also not kill you. After all, it is not easy for you to be able to cultivate both martial arts and martial arts. David sneered. Boy, what did you say? I'm afraid. Master Ma suddenly became angry, I tell you, even if you are a great master now, you are still vulnerable in my eyes, because in my magic circle, I am the master. Master Ma said, his eyes suddenly turned, and they turned into white flowers again, and the black eyeballs disappeared in an instant. You know the magic circle, and I happen to know some, so how about I accompany you to play the magic circle? David smiled lightly. What? Are you also a martial artist? Master Ma was taken aback. Master Ma, don't listen to this kid's bragging. He hasn't grown all his hair, how could he have so much? Feng Yi reminded from the side. When Master Ma heard it, he immediately felt reasonable, so he drew his hands on his chest, and bursts of white smoke rose up, instantly surrounding David. Immediately afterwards, the smoke began to fill, and it became thicker and thicker, and then the figures of David and Master Nama were shrouded, and people outside could not see it at all. It's troublesome. Seeing this, Song Zud couldn't help being surprised. He knew that this Master Ma was very skilled, and in such a fog, David couldn't see the Master Ma at all, so how could he fight with him? Song Tai was also holding onto Song Zud's arm, feeling extremely nervous. Ha ha ha, Song Zud, don't have any illusions. In Master Ma's array, he is a god, he is the master, and no one can beat him. Feng Yi laughed wildly. Bang bang bang. Soon, there was a sound of fighting in the fog, but no one could see what was going on with the two people inside. You're not very good at this magic circle. I only heard David snort, and then the thick fog dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye, and soon disappeared, and the figures of the two people appeared in front of everyone. David was still standing in his original position, but when he looked at Master Ma again, his cheeks were already flushed, and the 5 bright red fingerprints were clearly visible. Master Ma's eyes blinked, and he recovered as before, staring at David with a bit of anger in his eyes. David, are you all right? Song Tai hurriedly asked David. Do you think I'm in trouble? It should be the old one who's in trouble. I guess he doesn't have a single tooth left. David smiled lightly. When Feng Yi saw the look on Master Ma's face, he asked cautiously, Master Ma, are you all right? Master Ma opened his mouth, and all the teeth in his mouth fell from his mouth to the ground. He. Song Tai couldn't help laughing when he saw this. Then Song Zud and Lu Chenjian couldn't help laughing. Even Feng Yi himself, looking at Master Ma's appearance, couldn't help but want to laugh, but he tried his best to hold him back. Anger erupted in Master Ma's eyes. Boy, I will let you die without a burial. Saying that, Master Ma's white hair began to move without wind, like a devil. Don't talk nonsense, continue to use it if you have the ability. David sneered. I saw Master Ma chomping on the magic, his eyes began to turn red, and then a black fog appeared on his body, and the black fog suddenly became fangs and claws, like a ghost moving towards David. David, this fog is poisonous. Seeing this, Song Tai hurriedly reminded David. Many people were poisoned to death by this fog just now, so she reminded David. But David didn't care, instead he suddenly opened his mouth. It's so delicious, how can I let it go? The black mist was directly sucked into David's stomach, and then he patted his stomach and said, Is there any more? I haven't eaten enough yet. Ha ha ha, boy, do you know what these are, and you dare to suck them into your stomach? When Master Ma saw that David had swallowed the black mist, he burst into laughter. I don't care what it is, if you have it, I'll eat it. David didn't care. Humph, when you pierce your heart with 10,000 arrows and die from poison, you won't be so rampant. Master Ma snorted coldly, and then his body jumped up, a huge breath pressed towards David. Death from poison? It's still far from this poisonous gas. After David finished speaking, his body also burst out with a terrifying breath. The two auras collided, and in an instant, the sand and stones flew away, and the rocks flew, and many large stones became smashed. Master Ma frowned, he could not have imagined that David could still emit such a terrifying aura when he was poisoned by his own poison. But Master Nama didn't stop, he knew that David's toxicity was about to break out soon, and now is the time to kill David. So as soon as he raised his hand, a large palm appeared in the air instantly, and a flaming flame was still burning on the palm. "Boy, I'll let you taste my flame palm." The huge palm pressed towards David, and the burning flame, a wave of heat, made everyone around him hide away. David raised his head and saw the huge flame palm pressing towards him. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Well, there are indeed some things, then I will not refuse." David's relaxed appearance surprised Master Ma. The strength in his hand increased a bit, and the flames became more violent. Rumbling. With a loud noise, the huge flame palm pressed David down, and the flaming flames directly wrapped David, and even the hard stones on the ground began to burn. The huge flame rises several meters high, and even the copper walls and iron walls have been melted, let alone a person. David. Mr. Chen. This time, Song Zud and Song Tai are all stupid. Wu Dong also looked at the raging flames in disbelief. He really could not have imagined that David would die like this. "Humph, mere child, dare to challenge me, I don't know whether to live or die." Master Ma snorted coldly, his face full of disdain. "Song Zud, Lu Jinjian, everything is over. After I send you on the road, the entire mountain city is mine." Feng Yi looked at Song Zud and Lu Jinjian, his face full of pride. Song Zud and Lu Jinjian's faces were ashen, and they no longer had any illusions. And Song Tai bit his lip firmly. "Dad, my daughter is not filial, I can only honor you in the next life, I can't let this beast defile me." Song Tai said, but he slammed into a big rock. In today's entertainment industry, it's really not easy to have a pure girl like you. Just when Song Tai was about to commit suicide by hitting a rock, suddenly David's voice sounded. Song Tai hurriedly looked around and found that David was standing on the spot, his body was intact, and there was not even a trace of mess in his clothes. What's the matter?" Song Tai couldn't believe his eyes. The others were also shocked and couldn't believe that such a fire did not cause David the slightest harm. "Impossible, it's impossible." Master Ma's eyes widened, and he shouted like crazy. "Is there anything impossible? Didn't your master teach you that everything is possible in this world?" The corner of David's mouth slightly raised. "I don't believe it, I don't believe I can't kill you." Master Ma yelled and bit his finger abruptly. Soon blood flowed out from his finger, drop by drop of blood falling on the stone on the ground. I don't know how much was dripped, but I saw that the stones that had been stained with Master Ma's blood actually moved, as if someone were controlling them. Immediately after the stones were piled together, they turned into a stone man more than 2 meters high. Every time the stone man took a step, the ground trembled. "Even if I run out of blood, I will kill you." The words were said by Master Ma, but the voice came from the stone man. The sound of exploding thunder made everyone cover their ears involuntarily, only to feel dizzy and buzzing in their ears. "Is this a bit of a stone? It's interesting." David sneered, "This Master Ma's technique really has something." No wonder David felt that the aura of this Master Ma was much more turbulent than other warlocks. The stone man walked towards David step by step, every step he stepped out of a deep pit, and all the stones were smashed to smithereens. Everyone looked at the stone man, and they were all shocked and speechless, and they stepped back one after another, and they have retreated to the edge. Rumbling. When the stone man came to David, he smashed at David with a punch. The huge force seemed to smash the whole mountain apart. Looking at the ferocious punch of the stone man, David also roared, and saw that the blue veins on David's forehead bulged, and the spiritual power in his dantian swarmed, forming a ball of light directly on David's fist, like the sun dazzling. Boom! David's fist met the punch of the stone man, but in the eyes of everyone, David's fist is so small, even David's fist is very small under the huge fist of the stone. But after a burst of golden light and a loud bang, the stone man was directly knocked down, and fell to the ground with a bang, and countless stones flew everywhere. The huge stone man has become a pile of rocks, and there is no trace of humanoid appearance. Everyone looked at David in shock. It was incredible that such a small body could knock down that huge stone man. Even Master Ma's eyes showed panic, and the whole person's face became very pale. Master Ma! Feng Yi panicked a little, and shouted at Master Nama. Forget it, even if I die here today, I can't lose my reputation. A look of firmness flashed in Master Ma's eyes, as if he had made a decision. After he finished speaking, he slapped his belly with his 2 fingers, his originally pale face turned red, and he sprayed ahead abruptly. On the stone. Rumbling. Soon, a huge stone man stood up, twice the size of the stone man just now, but after doing this, Master Ma was in a state of exhaustion, and the whole person instantly became old. If it wasn't for Feng Yi's support, Master Ma would have fallen to the ground. Kill him! Master Ma tried his last strength and roared loudly. The huge stone man walked towards David, and every step shook the ground. Okay, I won't play with you anymore. David looked at the huge stone man with a look of boredom on his face. After speaking, David's body jumped up instantly, the whole person directly reached the height of the stone man, and then he punched the head of the stone man. Rumbling. With a thunderous sound, the stone man turned into powder by the way under David's punch, and all the stones were turned into powder and blown away by the wind. Puff! Seeing this, Master Ma spit out a mouthful of blood, and instantly collapsed to the ground. David jumped down and came to Master Ma, but when Feng Yi saw this, he was so frightened that he retreated again and again. Master Ma's face was full of weakness. Looking at David in front of him, he seemed to have an epiphany. He smiled bitterly. You are not a warrior, nor a warlock, you are, Xiu. Before the words of Master Ma were finished, he tilted his head and died. At the last moment, he saw that David was a monk. David looked at the corpse of Master Ma and frowned slightly. This Master Ma actually saw that he was a cultivator, which proved that he knew the existence of immortal cultivators, or he had seen other immortal cultivators. David was a little annoyed. He knew that Master Ma would not have died so quickly. Now he really wants to know where he can find a cultivator like himself. David got up slowly and looked at Feng Yi. At this time, everyone in the Feng family was trembling, and no one dared to speak. I was wrong, I am willing to give up the mine and leave the mountain city forever. Feng Yi said with a trembling body. David shook his head. I promised others that if I get rid of the Feng family, I will definitely do it. No, don't. Feng Yi knelt down in front of David all of a sudden. Please, don't kill me, I can give you anything you want, and I can give you the entire Feng family.